Good afternoon guys and gals and welcome back to the channel. So today I've brought you a plethora of shiny stuff from the deep dark Whiskey Nemo vault to show you today. I'm going to go through it all, I'm going to explain why I've picked it up, and if you stick around I'll share with you what my strategy for 2026 is. Now sit back, relax and we'll get diving straight in. So right now the silver price is £52 an ounce at the time of recording. It did shoot up in January. Conveniently enough, when we landed in Berlin, it was £86 an ounce because the universe absolutely hates me. Son of a bitch! And a little known tip, anytime I go anywhere where I can pick up cheaper silver, it rockets to the moon. So get in your diary for October because I am heading to Europe to pick up some cheap silver. So guaranteed the price will rocket to the moon. So start stacking now guys, buy the dip and get ready to sell in October because the universe is going to shaft me royally. But anyway, let's have a wee look at what we've got here. So we started in January and we picked up these 1000 Escudos. Now I think these were quite a bargain at the time. These are 50% silver. They are 1000 Escudos and they've got a silver content of 14 grams, 28 grams full weight obviously, but it's 50%. I got these for €30, which roughly works out, what, £27?
Nice.
At the time, you know, silver was £86 an ounce. I think that was an absolute bargain. I would love to find a retailer over here who does these because these are nice commemorative pieces. I would love to collect them, but time will tell. I can pick up more. Obviously, I have been picking up more Britannias because I was falling into the mistake of being a coin collector and not a silver stacker. Now, if you don't know the difference, I was buying one of every, you know, commemorative coin or bullion coin from around the world. That makes it incredibly difficult when you have to make the decision to sell. It means that, you know, if you're picking up these kind of Lunar Series coins for Australia, it's going to be more difficult to sell that, and I don't mean that people always snap this off your hands. I mean, as from a personal point of view, I'd find it more difficult personally trying to get rid of this than I would this, because this is, to me, a generic round. These are for investment, not for collecting. The design on this hasn't changed since the early 2000s. I don't think we'll get much of a change. The only kind of recent change in the last few years has been obviously King Sausage Fingers in the back there after the death of Queen Elizabeth. But you've also got the security features which have been added to it as well. But that does not necessarily mean that these are safe. What? Now, if you're following YouTube and particular Shards bullion dealers, big shout out to them. I get the majority of this lovely shiny stuff from them. One of the lowest premiums around. Again, Lawrence, if you're watching this, I accept payment in whiskey. But anyway, not sponsored by Shards in the slightest. Unless you want to send me a couple of bottles of whiskey, I'll quite happily pump your stuff.
Yeah, boy.
But anyway, Shards teamed up with Backyard Bullion while they were making a video. They opened up a monster box of these 2026 Britannias and discovered that some of them were made of Cupronickel. Now, last time I checked, the Royal Mint do not make Britannias in Cupronickel, so the question has to be remained, who is making the rounds, how are they getting into sealed mint packs, and how many of them are out there? We're still waiting for confirmation from the Royal Mail, so stay tuned. I'll try and see if I can source it, but again, if you're following bigger and better creators than I am, you'll probably find out that information before I do. But stick around and I'll show you how to test your stack from the comfort of your own home rather than buying big expensive XRF machines. But anyway, let's move on. So other things, again, going into the coin collector aspect, I have got several open albums of shillings, florins, half crowns and crowns. Checking out some crowns here. Here's a fair example of an 1889 here. I mean, these are peaking out about from anywhere between £75 and £90. These do get more expensive depending on the year, how far you go back and the condition. So looking at this one, this is an 1889, and this one is an 1889. Now, again, if anybody doesn't know, these are 925 sterling silver. You would think I would be able to pick up this one for the price of this one. This is not the case. As you can see, there's more detail on this one. So this one demands a higher numismatic premium. Again, it's not ideal if you're only interested in weight and silver stacking. So I am trying to get away from the coin collecting side of things and move more onto bullion for wealth, for investment. Again, I love my Mexican stuff. These are 25 pesos from 1968. These are made for the Mexican Olympics to commemorate that. These are 72% silver, and it's got the lei, which is silver, and 0.720 there, so it's got the silver content stamped on them. Again, being world silver, you've got the numismatic value. You can still pick up those for relatively cheap. Speaking of Mexican silver, you've seen this big shiny pile I've been taunting you right here. Now, a lot of stackers absolutely hate these things, but I love them. These are pesos from Mexico, and check these out. These were only minted for a number of years in the late 60s. These are 10% silver.
You serious?
Now, don't shoot me here. These contain about 1.6 grams of silver per round, and you can see here, this is only a small selection of the ones I pick up, because I was picking these up for a couple of pound at a time, and I now have a little pirate chest filled with these bad boys, and as you can tell, they still clink like silver. And, you know, it's more for the novelty aspect. I don't see these investment pieces unless I get like 1 million of them, but it is quite fun to pretend you're a pirate and have a little pirate chest. That is just my sense of humour. Don't judge me. It is one of the many impulse buys that will continue on to see. Now, speaking of fractional silver, let's have a wee look at these. Now, I have been a big proponent of the 1 gram Valcambi crew for some time now. Again, love them or hate them. So, I mean, some people look down at people who love these bars. I mean, the premiums are high for what you get. I absolutely get it. However, I picked these up for a bargain. If you're wondering what case this is an element card case, which I got from our man Haven over in Whatnot, and I have got about 6 of these filled. Now, the premise with these is I have got a to-go bag, which is sitting with some important documents in case there's a fire or I need to get out the house quickly. I've got that, and it's like the prepper in the back of the mind. You know, the shit hits the fan situation. I've got something to batter with. At least 1 or 2 of these will buy me a free Bentos pie. You know, down the line maybe. Who knows?
Come on, haggle. All right, I'll give you 10. That's more like it.
But that's got me thinking about the 1 gram silver. Now, when I first started stacking 10 years ago, people looked at stackers who stacked 1 gram gold. You know, they looked at them like they were complete idiots. Now, again, I get it. 1 gram golds do retain a very ridiculous premium still to this date. However, these seem to be the sweet spot now. More and more people are stacking the 1 gram gold. It's a nice little entry level, and the more and more as time goes by, especially in this last year, we are seeing more and more fractional. Check that out. Now, these are 1/100ths of an ounce. Now, I will do close-up images of these. I got these for Germania Mint in Berlin, but these are becoming more and more common as a kind of stacking solution and investment. I mean, it's absolutely crazy the way price of gold is going, that we're getting to the 1/100th and even the 1/200th of an ounce as a viable option. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not here to judge, and I would never judge anybody's stack, but at the end of the day, the way I see it is, if you've got two little pieces of precious metal and you can do that, you're a stacker in my book. You know, never judge anyone else's attempt at stacking, because at the end of the day, one thing I've realised about this community is We're all here for each other, and it's a fantastic community. Speaking of the 1 gram gold, I'd be devastated if I didn't mention Tavex. Now, if you're in the UK, you might know these guys. Over in Stacker Social, we'll certainly know these guys. Tavex do 1 gram gold subscriptions. Now, you're not hooked into a contract, but if you buy one of these every month for 12 months, they'll send you the 13th month absolutely free. Now, given the way price of gold is going, that's either going to be an absolute bargain for you or an absolute torture for you. You're completely at the mercy of the market. It might keep going up and up and up and then severely tank, and it might not work out worthwhile. However, yeah, you might hedge your bets and win out quite well with that, but at the end of the day, it's still 1 gram of gold, isn't it? Having a look at other pieces that I've picked up, and now I'm moving on over to what many YouTubers have hyped and hyped and hyped this as the next silver. Do not listen to them, they're misleading you, but copper. Love it or hate it, I think it's here to stay. Now, when the price of silver went up through the moon, a lot of YouTubers were hyping this as the next silver. It was a great entry point. Now, I'm not denying it might be good for stacking. I'll leave that up to you. I'm not here to tell you otherwise, but as a personal point of view, I don't see this as stacking potential. I love the artwork. I love the novelty aspect. I don't think it's viable for stacking though. That is just my personal opinion, but I will continue to collect it, especially these lovely 5 ounce varieties of this one here is obviously taken after the Libertad, and it is a fantastic display piece along with this one from the Sunshine Mint. I will continue to collect the large 5 ounce versions of circulating currency because I think they're absolute brilliant display pieces. But as for, investment for the future, I mean, the last time I checked, copper was £4.50 a pound. Now, that's another thing. Copper is weighed in pounds, not ounces, pounds. So for likes of a 1 ounce copper, now keeping in mind, this is an Adavar pound.
You speak a bit of French, don't you? Well, potage bon femme.
Ounce of copper, which means it's 28 grams. It's not even classed as a troy ounce. It is a depois, I can't resist saying that way, but these are going, intrinsic value. You're lucky if you're getting a pound for that. But I'm not dissing anybody that stacks copper. It's always nice to have a diversity in your stack. It always is. And again, something just caught my eye here that I meant to show you. 10 years ago when I was in Australia, I picked up this lovely Kangaroo. This here is a ½ gram Kangaroo miniature gold coin. Now, I picked this up for an absolute steal. I thought this was an absolute novelty factor. 10 years ago, I picked this up just for the novelty aspect. It was straight from a Perth man. It was the smallest gold coin I'd ever seen at that time, and I couldn't resist. Now people are going out their way, and refiners are actually making ½ gram, even quarter gram bars, which I think is completely crazy that we've got to a point where gold is that expensive. We're actually going fractional sub 1 gram. Again, looking at those 1 200th and 1 100 ounce gold. So what's this? I mean, what's the sweet spot? I would love to pick up more sovereigns. I don't know. I picked this one up for £530 just last year, I believe, in August. Craven will be able to tell you because he talked me into it. And these are currently selling for about £870, I believe, at time of recording. It's still expensive, and I mean, these are 22 carat gold. They're not a full 24 carat. Or, I mean, I was even considering stacking this, but hee-ho. Anyway, so what's my plans for 2026? Now, as you can see, I've got a selection here of silver. I am going to continue going for the kilogram of silver in 2026. Now, I do have several kilos already. It's just more a challenge to myself. I'll try and fill a box of these in 2026. Anyway, I am stepping away from numismatic. Not completely, and you know, there is impulse buy there. I'm going to try, folks. Stay away from the numismatic stuff as much as I can. Go more bullion for investment, and go more generic, so more Britannias if they send me actual silver, not bloody Cupronickel. But the plan is to have something that I can liquidise and won't cry over, as opposed to, you know, a full box of like the Lunar series or different World Mint stuff, or even some graded stuff. I would absolutely cry and die inside if I sold some of my obscure stuff. Again, moving on to the plan for 2026, I am going to go and focus 80% more on gold, 20% on generic, or, you know, Britannias. But the question remains, what do I go for this year? What do I diversify into? Am I going 1 gram gold? Am I going sovereigns? Am I going 1/10 ounce? Or am I going to keep trying to stack these, you know, 1/100th ounce bars? Now, the premiums on these are quite insane at the moment, especially for what you get. These are 0.3 of a gram, so yeah, and these are going for about, you know, £50-60. I can pick up half a gram for that. So again, you have to factor in the premium. But, you know, I have been eyeing up some Mexican gold, in particular the Dos Peso. I don't have any of those. They're quite small gold coins. They were the smallest kind of fractional, I suppose, gold coin before the Krugerrands came along. Or am I going to go with the 1 gram pandas? Because I love these 1 gram pandas. Who knows? So only time will tell. So guys, I promised to show you how I test my silver. Now I will bring out this lovely shiny example of a 2025 Britannia, and we're going to loup it out the case. Nice and shiny. Look at that sausage finger git right there. And we've picked up one of these very inexpensive bad boys from Nerd. Now you can reach out to Nerd directly to get one of these bad boys, or you can pick them up from several dealers on Whatnot, and particularly TSE, the Stat Collector. But all you're doing here is, Christ, whoever had a fantasy that I was going to hammer Charles right in the face with a hammer?
Yes. And I do it again, I tell you. I do it again in an instant.
Right, here we go. You slot it in just like that. You pull back the little lever and you're listening for... Now, there is an app that you can use. It's called Ping Tester. You link it up with that and give it a little ping. And it'll maybe ask you to do it 3 times. And it'll tell you if it's legitimate or not. I'll leave the link for that in the description. But that's one way you can test it very inexpensively. You know, silver can't mistake. Of course, if you do that with, let's say for example, this token that I've got here, you'll know the difference. See, no ping. So a very inexpensive way. Another way is you can get some neodymium magnets. Now, I don't have any to hand right now, but all you're essentially doing is you're setting it up here and letting it slide down. If it falls straight off, it's not real silver. If it slowly drags its face across King Sausage Fingers, then it's real silver. So guys, that is it. Thank you for watching, and please reach out if you're ever wanting some channel merch. You know, everyone loves a poker chip. Want to do a little trade? I still have some of the 2026 Nemo Berlin poker chips available if anyone's wanting any. Please reach out. I'm quite happy to do a trade, and that's it, guys. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep stacking the shiny stuff, and peace for now.